Now we need a key to access our session, but I hate using magic strings. That's why we have a web constant here. So in here, let me add public static string, and I'll call this session cart is equal to, I'm gonna name this shopping cart session. Next, what we want to do is if we open up our underscore layout view, which is the master page, right here, I want to check if that session is set. If yes, are there any products in there? If yes, then I will display the count here, else I will display 0. Now for that, our session right now will only have list of all of the product ID. I can have a list of int for session, but I want to create a special model for our session object, because in future, what if you want to add more properties in your session? So for that, we'll go to our models, right click here, we'll add a new class, and I'll call this shopping cart. In there, right now what I'll do is I'll add a prop. This will be an integer of the product ID. Again, this could have been simplified by just using a list of integer, but when you think of longer run, this will prove more helpful, since if you have to add new properties to your session, you can add it to the model here. That being said, in underscore layout, we can have a list of shopping cart model. So after the li here, we can add a new list icon, and we will add an if condition here. Now we need to access session inside view. How do you do that? For that, we need the HTTP context accessor that we added in startup.cs. So in here at the top, we will add using statements. First, we'll be using for Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.HTTP, and in there we can inject the services. Now with dependency injection, when you need anything in the view, you have to inject that service, as compared to in a controller, you can directly get that in constructor. So what service we want to inject? We want to inject the iHTTP context accessor. I will call this HTTP context accessor, and we'll use that to get the session. So if we scroll down right here, we will say HTTP context accessor dot, we have the HTTP context in there, and we have session inside that. Then we want to call get method on that, and if you remember, we have to pass the type. So type will be list of shopping cart. After that, what you need to pass here is the key value, which is inside web constants. We call that session cart. Then we will check if this is not null. If this is the case, then we want to display the count. So we'll add an anchor tag, and we'll add the ASP action. It will be again index action, but we will add a new controller here, which will be cart controller. Then we'll add a class of navlink here. And what we want to display here is how many items are there in our session. So we'll add the @ sign for razor syntax, and we'll say variable count is equal to. Now we can copy what we did right here. We have an error here. Let's solve this first. And the reason behind that is if we go to Solution Explorer, our session extension is inside utility. So in here, we'll have to go up, and right here, we'll have to add a using statement for Rocky.utility. Once you add that, then the error should go away. Perfect. Now if we copy this, and we will calculate our variable count. Let me paste it here. Dot, we will implement the count on there. So that will retrieve how many list of shopping cart do we have. Then we want to display that in Font Awesome. So we'll add a Font Awesome class of FA-shopping cart. And outside of this, we'll add a space and BSP, and we will display at count. That looks good. In the else part, what we want to do is we just want to display 0 for the shopping cart. So we can just copy this line and I will add an anchor tag, give an href of hash, and we'll give a class of navLink. In there, we can paste the I tag and we'll just display 0. Perfect. This looks good. Let's run our application and see that we should have 0 items in our shopping cart. Great, it is 0 right now. If you click, it should not go anywhere. That being said, in the next video, let's add items to the shopping cart when we click here.